Though Electoral Petition Tribunal, as reactions still keep coming in, and supporters of good governance and lovers of Dr. Asorime Ighodalo, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the already concluded 2024 governorship election in Edo State. As you can see on my screen, Edo Tribunal decision as a metaphor by Dr. Sam Amadi, dated 30th April 2025. Recently, the Edo Governorship Election Tribunal delivered judgment on the petition of the People's Democratic Party governorship candidate on the 2024 Edo State Governorship Election, which the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC declared the APC candidate as the winner. The PDP had complained that the APC did not win the highest number of valid votes and that the election was marred by substantial irregularities because of no compliance with the strict requirement of the law. Show of legal jargon. The petition simply alleged that the INEC ringed the election for the APC, that the APC candidate was not duly elected. The judgment of the tribunal is now a matter of public discourse because it is not just a judicial determination. It goes beyond that. It is a metaphor for what has become the fate of democracy in Nigeria. The problem with judicial involvement in election disputes in Nigeria is not because it is leading to the judicialization of politics. The problem is the gradual but determined destruction through judicial decision of credible incentives for free and fair election in Nigeria. If there is no strong incentive for the electoral management body to ensure free and fair elections, then the electoral system is not competitive. Without competitive elections, that is, election where powerful incumbent could lose easily, it will be difficult to sustain democracy in Nigeria. To understand what damage is being done to democracy in the suit of judgment delivered by the Edo State Governorship Election Tribunal, it is important to restate the fundamentals of democracy. At a time when the leading democracies in the world are drifting towards autocracy and fascism in their politics, simply restating the fundamentals of democracy becomes a voluntary act. In a time when transitional democracies like Nigeria and some of African countries are shifting towards electoral autocracy, it is important to remind ourselves that the meaning of democracy. There are three fundamental features of democracy. The most fundamentals is political equality. Democracy starts from the premise that citizens in a polity are equal. This equality finds expression in simple fact that they jointly make laws that regulate their affairs and govern themselves. In the classical Greek city-state, Athens, the mythical home of democracy, political equality meant that all male citizens meet at the Agora daily to deliberate and make laws and take turns periodically to sit in a magisterium to decide disputes. In the larger and complex modern society, political equality means that every adult citizen has a right to elect those who will sit in the modern Agora, parliament, and presidential villa to make laws and execute them. So the first and foremost mark of a democracy is that the people choose their leader as a political equals. The concept of political equality has a great implications for how the electoral system is designed and the management of the larger political institutions. The second fundamentals of democracy is the guarantee of freedom and liberty of the people. If the people are politically equal, it means that no one should violate the dignity of anyone. It means that the essence of government is that no one's life is more valuable in a fundamental sense than that of another. This is why Robert A. Down argued that democracy is not only a process of governing, because rights and necessity element of democratic political institutions, democracy is inherent as also a system of rights. Rights are among the essential building blocks of democratic process of government. The third fundamentals of democracy is that the regime in power can easily be removed by people whenever they are dissatisfied of its performance. This is what Robert Dahl called responsiveness. The beauty of democracy is that those who occupy political office knows that if they do not satisfy the expectations of the people, they could lose their positions of power. This reality of losing election and accepting the outcome is what Joseph Schumpeter identified as the essence of democracy and what makes democracy superior as an engine of economic and social development. The feasibility of removing no-performing public official is the inherent features of democracy that make it a more reliable driver of economic growth than any other model of governance. The device through which democracy achieves its purpose is election. Modern democracy has been reduced to representative democracy. This is so because the only way we can achieve self-determination in a large and complex society is by having a few people representing the rest of us. These representatives are chosen through periodic election. There are no more popular democracy. We have only representative democracy. The art of representative democracy is election. The most important work that citizens of democracy do is to elect representatives who thereafter act on their behalf on issues of public interest. There are elements of good electoral system that leads to democracy. These elements are grouped together as elements of free and fair election. Free and fair election has three elements that ensure that they can produce a democratic governance. The first element is that every adult citizen can register to vote, and many countries 18 years old are enough to vote. Make good provisions for every adult citizen register to vote is the most important element of free and fair election. The second element is that voting must be voluntary. This is the notion of freeness. Political freedom requires that citizens make a choice of who governs in the atmosphere of freedom. This is also an aspect of competitiveness, except there is freedom to freely associate politically and to vote whoever we like. There is no competitive election. And this leads to the third element of a democratic electoral system, namely that votes are accurately accounted and announced. The integrity and credibility of electoral system are hung on the pillar of accurate counting of votes and announcement of result. We can attest that Sterling got it right when he noted that those who count the votes are more important than those who cast votes. Competitive required that opposition to incumbent enjoy the full complement of political right to freely organize and mobilize against the incumbent. where the political environment and the voting process are suppressive and oppressive against some contestants for public offices, there are no more democratic elections. The final fundamental element of a good electoral system is that the votes are accurately counted and announced. This is why also Sterling once noted that those who count the vote are more important than those who cast the vote. So, in essence, what Dr. Sam Amandi, who is a director of Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, is trying to tell us is that how the Nigerian politicians, more especially the APC administration, are deceiving Nigerians that we are still operating a democratic system of government where we have actually drifted into an electoral autocracy where government power is given to one person. Unlimited power is given to one person to determine the affairs of the whole country. So that is where we are actually operating right now. And this is what he said in the last statement of his note of thought. He said the judgment of the Edo Governorship Election Tribunal is a metaphor of how Nigeria has become an electoral autocracy, no longer a democracy. This is what he has to say. So everybody still believes that the judgment in the Edo State Electoral Petition Tribunal was a force, was not correct, was an abuse of power, and is also a criminal activity be condoned by even our judiciary. Thank you, guys.